As a coach and an author, one of the questions that I get quite frequently is, how do you make time for reading? Recently, I posted on social media that I read 57 books last year, and I got so many messages, so many responses, and everyone was asking, like, how do you make time for it? So I decided to share today how I make reading a priority and the benefits that it has for my life. So I have been in school like practically my entire life. I started preschool at age 4 and I finished my doctorate at age 31. So for 27 years, all I did was learn. And I didn't realize it at the time, but I loved learning. It became such a part of who I was. And so I remember getting close to the end of my doctorate program and thinking like, oh, you know what? I'm not going to be reading anymore. I'm done with reading. And I vowed to myself that I'd never touch another book because I was so burned out. But after taking some time off of reading, I felt empty. I didn't feel good. And I realized that things had started to change. Research says not only does reading prevent Alzheimer's or dementia because it's using your brain like a muscle and exercising it, but it expands your vocabulary because you're exploring all of these new words. It gives you a break from reality so it can prevent anxiety or depression. Reading informs your writing because you learn how books are structured. Reading helps you to have better conflict resolution skills because you practice that through guessing what may happen in your reading. Overall, reading is so beneficial. The best benefit of reading is it improves your focus. We live in a world where we are constantly pulled in so many different directions. But when we're reading, it's like nothing else matters. If you ever read right before church or right before work, watch how focused you really are. Overall, reading has so many benefits. And once I realized that my life was changing and I didn't like it, I was like, I got to start reading again. I miss it. I need it. So I decided that I was going to start reading. I knew at this time that I wanted to write a book. I knew at this time that I was considering maybe starting a business. And so I knew that in order for me to be well educated, to be an awesome author, and to be an effective entrepreneur, I was going to need to have the skill set behind me. And I didn't have any family or friends that were entrepreneurs. So I knew that my focus needed to be on reading. So I set a goal to read one book a week for a year straight. So that's 52 books. And now I had read before, but never anything that big. But what motivated me to do that was I read a research study that said the average millionaire reads 50 books a year, whereas the average person reads 12 books a year. And I don't think that that's a coincidence. I do believe that those that are, dedicated to learning, dedicated to growing, dedicating to have more information and to really changing their lives, understand that learning is a key aspect to that. So I wanted to commit to doing something different because I wanted something different. So the first year that I did that was in 2016. And each year after that, I've continued to read more and more and more because I realized that ultimately it had an amazing impact on my success in my life. And I don't even just mean as an entrepreneur, I just mean in my life in general. I mean, think about it. If you read, then you expand your vocabulary and you expand your knowledge base. How would that impact your career trajectory? How would that impact job opportunities and openings for you? How would that impact your self-esteem and your confidence? When I read, all of those things were positively impacted. And so I decided that I was going to commit to reading. Now, that was my first step to making room for reading, was committing to it, making it a non-negotiable. A lot of times we put reading on the back burner because we don't see it as an important task. And remember, we have so many things vying for our time and our attention and so many commitments and responsibilities that it's easy to put it on the back burner. When I committed to reading, I made it a priority by doing it first thing in my day. I didn't wait for the day to get the best of me. I didn't wait until I was tired. I didn't wait until I was exhausted or until it fit in my schedule. I did it first thing in the morning before my children were awake, before anyone could text or call or email, before the day could get a hold of me. I read every single day. And what I told myself is that I would read for a certain amount of time. So the neat thing that I did is at this time I was reading a book called The Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod. And he talked about important tasks that you needed to commit to each morning. And 2 of those tasks were reading and exercising. So in my basement, I have a recumbent bike. So I decided that because I was a busy person, I was going to use both at the same time to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. So I would cycle for 20 minutes and I would read for 20 minutes. And the neat thing is, because it was a twofold task, I was more focused on getting it done because it basically checked 2 things off of my to-do list for the day. But more importantly, what I found was that having that movement with my reading helped the information to stick longer, and helped me to be more inspired to hold tight to that information, because I'm like, I got to get this done. Not only do I have to cycle, but I got to read, and I would look forward to it each and every morning. Now notice, I didn't say that I was reading for some extensive amount of time, like an hour a day. I would typically read somewhere between 15 to 30 minutes, depending upon the day and what I needed to get accomplished, but it was a non-negotiable to do at least 15 minutes. Now, in order to add in extra books, and speaking of movement, I made my car a mobile university. And what I mean by that is I turned my car into an opportunity for me to learn. We quote unquote have a lot of downtime in our cars because we're driving, to and from work. We're driving to and from dropping our kids off at different activities. We're driving to and from the grocery store. And so I incorporated audiobooks into my drive time. And so what I found during that time was I could get a lot of things learned and excited about different stories and topics. And not only that, but my girls started to buy into the idea. They'd say, what happened in the book today? Or what are we going to be learning about today? And so it was an opportunity for all of us to learn, and it kept me on track to accomplishing my goal. I prefer, hardbound paperback books, physical books, but I've really learned to love audiobooks because I can fill that in at any downtime. So I could use that in the grocery store line with headphones. I could use that while I'm getting dressed in the morning or while I'm brushing my teeth or cooking. And so if you haven't already, try to incorporate audiobooks. It'll give you an opportunity to learn more without you having to commit to giving a lot of extra time. The last strategy I utilized to make reading a priority was I made it fun. My oldest daughter always said that she disliked reading. So for her, I decided that we would read the Harry Potter series because that's the second most read book in the world and the only book at the time that I hadn't read. So we read it together and we would challenge each other, like, what did you learn from it? What did you gauge from it? And I made a promise to her that when we were finished, we'd go see the movie together. And so it was really exciting because it was something we did as a team. For me personally, my 2 biz besties and I created a small book club. So each month we would pick one book that we'll read, and then we would process it and talk about it. And so it got to be so exciting and something to look forward to because you get to share. More importantly, if you pick the topic and it's something you're interested in, you'll realize that reading isn't a chore after all. It's something fun, it's something exciting, and it's something that just takes you away from the day-to-day hustle and bustle of life and something exciting. If you're looking to make reading a priority, you can check out my video, What I'm Reading Now. Also, shameless plug, you can read any of my books as well. I will make sure to put the link in the comments so you can check it out. Notice that all of the strategies that I have implemented in my life, such as making reading fun, making it a priority and reading first thing in the morning, or making my car a mobile university, none of them are extreme. None of them are with something that you can't accomplish or way out of your reach. I share these because they're practical tips that you can implement if you're ready to make reading a part of your daily routine. I have a question for you before you go. If you committed to reading, how would your life change? Comment below and let me know. Make sure you hit like and subscribe before you go. And until next time, I'll chat with you guys later.